Good morning on Monday, January 4th. Hey guys, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2021. I suppose you've already been here for a few days, huh? But welcome to the 2021 portion of the school year, huh? Start with science. We're in pages 215 to 217. And really all week we're going to talk about one thing, and that is hurricanes. Now, really going to start and end with the same question, and I'll be very honest with you. You're going to have to answer this question for your assignment, so I strongly suggest you pay attention. I strongly suggest you take a peek here and maybe even have your assignment right out with you, because you're going to find out this is the exact assignment you have now. The question I'm going to start asking is, I'm going to show you a bunch of pictures and ask you, above what are all hurricanes forming? You may remember as we ended our weather unit at the end of 2020 in December, storms on land are usually created by warm air rising and cold air taking its place, and where the warm front and cold front meet, when those fronts collide, that's when there's those stratus clouds, and it's the usually the rain, the precipitation, the storms that we have. And yes, on land there can be some very, very powerful storms. We're going to especially talk about some next week, but kind of continuing here with our weather, we're really focusing on hurricanes this week, and kind of already get a little spoilers about talk about how well, I'll tell you what, let's just get into it. Take a look at these pictures and think about where, I should say, above what are all these hurricanes forming. Whew. There's a cool hurricane picture from space. And now when I say cool, I just mean that, these are some massive, powerful, breathtaking storms. Man, they can cause a lot of damage. Later in the week, we're going to learn about how much damage they can create. But here's a good example about that. And take a peek here. Again, remember the original question. Above what are all these hurricanes forming? Here's a whole picture from space. There's a picture of a hurricane from the satellites. Here's another one kind of from on land looking over. Okay, so I will stop here and I will remind you of our question. Above what are all these hurricanes forming? And maybe you've guessed it. Every one of these hurricanes are forming above water. See, storms need certain ingredients to form. We talked about on land, which are not hurricanes, how warm fronts rise and cold fronts come in, right? And where those meet, that's where the storms occur. Well, hurricanes, they need a fuel, much like your car needs gas and fuel to run. Hurricanes aren't going to form unless they have water, and lots of water. And I'm actually going to add an adjective, which we're getting into in English here, to the word water. It has to be warm water. If you notice, this is a picture of the Atlantic Ocean. Remember we went through social studies? Here's Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland. This is the Atlantic Ocean, and maybe you've seen the Gulf Stream down there. All has this, and for whatever reason, the Atlantic Ocean is a lot warmer of water than even the Pacific Ocean in California. Now, I'm not saying you jump in and it's hot. That's not what I mean. But for a huge, gigantic body of water, the Atlantic Ocean is actually considerably warmer than other oceans. Again, no, there's not steam and you can't take a sauna. That's not what I mean. But just, it is much water. And that is exactly what hurricanes need to form. You see, it needs to be a certain temperature of water. Otherwise, the hurricanes aren't forming. Notice it also has to be a lot of water. You don't see hurricanes forming over San Carlos Lake. Is that warm water? Yes, not nearly enough fuel. That would be like going to your daddy's truck and putting in a couple drops of fuel, saying, okay, Daddy, you ready to go? No. Not nearly enough to run the truck. The San Carlos Lake is not nearly enough warm water to fuel a hurricane. It needs a huge, huge amount of water. And right here, right here in the Atlantic Ocean, especially the southern Atlantic Ocean, this is just a breeding ground for hurricanes because it needs a warm water to form. Here's what I want to show you. Now, the warm ocean water needs to be above 80 degrees. There's a reason we have something that's called hurricane season, which generally starts right around June and July. That is when the water in the Atlantic Ocean is warm enough, above 80 degrees, for hurricanes to start forming. We don't have hurricanes now in January. We didn't have them in December. We're not going to have February because the Atlantic Ocean is still liquid. I mean, it's not frozen, but it's not anywhere close to 80 degrees. And so here's all the ingredients needed to form a hurricane. It's got to start with warm ocean water. Then look at number 2. The winds coming together force air upward. And then it goes up. In 3, the winds flow outward above the storm, allowing the air below to rise, meaning the warm air is always constantly going up. And then take a look at ingredient number 4. The humid air rising makes the clouds of the storm. That's where you see that circle. If you notice what's going on, you got the air, the warm air rising and going up and out. And then the clouds form. And then number 5, the light winds outside it kind of move it in that circular motion and also move it across the ocean. If you take any of these steps out, you're not going to have a hurricane. If you take the warm ocean water out, there's no way a hurricane can form. Just like you take the gas out of your daddy's truck, there's no way your daddy's going anywhere. If you don't have that warm air moving up like that, like number 2, you're not going to have a hurricane. It's just not going to happen. You can have all the warm ocean water you want, but if those winds aren't coming and funneling together and then going up like warm air does, you're not having a hurricane. This is what I'd strongly suggest having out as you're doing your assignment, because your assignment is simply this. Again, to answer this question, which is on your sheet of paper. It looks like this, so I don't have it on the PowerPoint. It's 4 lines, and it clearly says, why do hurricanes always form above water? Don't just say because that's how God made them. Yes, you're right. Don't just say because that's how it works. No, I got 4 lines for a reason. Okay? I want you to really show that you understand how hurricanes work, why they have to form above water, and we'll get into later in the week, first of all, how destructive they can be, and number 2, why we don't have to worry about hurricanes here in Arizona. You probably already guessed it because you don't have the warm water. But anyways, that's what we'll get to the rest of the week. Lord's blessings to you, to praise your Savior.